What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another installment of the Nightmare on Elm Street film series. I'm here with Arlo once again, and tonight we're going to review um, Wes Craven's new Nightmare. Now, it's written and directed by the late, great Wes Craven himself. Rest in peace to him. Um, Also, we have Heather Langenkamp coming back, Robert Englund coming back, of course. Also have John Saxon, uh, Miko Hughes from the movies Pet Cemetery. He was a little kid in Spawn. This is the 10th anniversary of Nightmare on Elm Street because Nightmare on Elm Street came out in 1984, and this movie came out in 1994. Now, Freddy's Dead, didn't make as much money as they thought it would. I mean, it still made about like 30 million, so it wasn't a flop, but they expected Freddy's Dead to make a little bit more. So Wes Craven came up with this idea because they called Wes Craven. They say it's 10th anniversary, Nightmare on Elm Street, put New Line Cinema on the map. Again, they called New Line Cinema the house Freddy built, and they wanted to make an anniversary film. So they called Wes Craven, and Wes Craven came up with I think a pretty ingenious idea, in my opinion. He wanted to make Freddy. First off, last time we see Freddy was damn near a comedian. In the last couple Nightmare on Elm Street films, he was nowhere near, the killer that he once was, and I'd say the first two films in particular. So Wes Craven wanted to bring Freddy back to what he once was, which was menacing, scary as fuck. He wanted to bring that Freddy back, and also he wants to make this Nightmare film more with a different twist. He wants to have Freddy more of it's a demon entity taking as the form of Freddy, and instead of dreams, it's affecting people in real life, in reality. So when I first heard this, I'm like, okay, that's an interesting concept, interesting idea. And of course, Heather Langenkamp coming back to play. A lot of the people that was in the first Nightmare played themselves. So Robert Englund plays himself and Freddy, of course. Heather Langenkamp plays herself. John Saxon plays himself. So I'm thinking, okay, that's a pretty. Wes Craven even makes an appearance as himself. Robert Shaw, the producer. So I'm like, okay, this is a pretty interesting idea, and I'm looking forward to it. What about you? Arlo, your thoughts on going into the movie?
I thought, like everybody else did, it was gonna be something different, something new. Yeah, it was something different, something new, but not exactly what I expected. But I was excited because I was bored of all the movies, basically, except like the first two, and the second one
Especially
was
too.
because of obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was kind of excited for it.
Yeah, check that review out, part two. I think that's all. I think that maybe Arlo's favorite film of the franchise. Um, so the movie starts out, paying homage to the first film. Why do I say that? In the first film, we saw who we presume to be Freddy, building his glove. We kind of get the same thing here. We see somebody creating the glove, which is like it's more mechanical somewhat. And then we see somebody, which we assume to be Freddy, go and chop his hand off. So and then we realize it's a movie set. Heather Langenkamp. We see Heather Langenkamp with her son Dylan, and we get introduced to Heather Langenkamp's husband Chase, who is who does the special effects for the movies. And then we realize this is a movie set. We see Wes Craven, congratulating everybody, for the effects and whatsoever. So this is kind of like, I guess we say kind of breaking kayfabe. Shout out to Mark. Kind of breaking kayfabe, but not really, because you have actors playing themselves, which is an interesting idea. I mean, one of my favorite movies, This Is the End, does the exact same thing. Actors playing themselves. I always think that's an interesting idea when actors do that in movies. So then we get Heather Langenkamp, walking around the set with her husband Chase and Dylan. That sounds so 90s, Chase and Dylan. But we got to see Chase, showing Dylan all the cool effects and whatsoever. And then we see that the special effects people are working on the mechanical glove. They're saying, it's not, something's wrong with it. And Heather Langenkamp, she says, but by the way, Heather Langenkamp looks good as hell in this movie. She was pretty in the first film. I thought she looked pretty nice in the third film. But man, oh man, Heather Langenkamp in this movie, wow. Damn, she was fine. But she says she does not like the new glove, and the Chase is saying, come on, babe, this puts bread on the table and whatsoever. So while they're working on the glove, it flinches. And it flinches, and they're kind of looking at it like, what the fuck? And then Chase kind of goes to touch it, then it slices his finger. And then they continue to work on it some more. And then the glove comes alive and stabs one of the special effects guys in the throat. So I'm like, okay, so 3 minutes in, already we getting some gore. So everybody's freaking out whatsoever. Chase is trying to break the remote control for the glove. Nothing. And they're trying to figure out, where is it? Where's the glove? Where's the glove? And then we see the glove, stab, slice a crew member's leg and then stab him. And then, and then the body falls on Chase, and Chase can't get up. And he's, screaming, Heather, where's the glove? Meanwhile, we see Dylan climb on a bed and just sit there. And then while we see a moving board, we see Dylan sitting there, and then we see somebody moving some equipment in front of the bed. We don't see Dylan. When the equipment's gone, Dylan's disappeared. So I'm like, okay. And then so we see the glove slowly get on top of Chase, and it looks like it's about to stab Chase. And then we're back in the real world again. That's how these Nightmare on Elm Street movies always start out with a dream sequence. I should have known better. But so while Nancy wakes up, we're in an earthquake. She wakes up and we're in an earthquake. I'm like, oh wow, pretty intense way to start the movie, which the Nightmare films always do. So they're in an earthquake, and then you hear Dylan screaming, and they run to Dylan, and then they go Dylan's room, and they and they hide in Dylan's room, and it stops. And then Dylan notices that Chase's finger has been cut. Now remember, okay, they always have this ability in dreams, that you can bring things out from your dreams. So I saw that, I kind of raised my eyebrow, we're getting this started already. So then, of course, Chase just brushes it off, saying, it was probably a mirror or something. It's no big deal, nothing. And then Heather Langenkamp, who's still kind of bothered by the situation. And we also learn we learn that Heather Langenkamp is beginning like obsessed phone call, because apparently a lot of the script kind of is pretty close to reality, because I did hear that Heather Langenkamp did have a stalker at one point. So it's pretty interesting that Wes Craven was able to put that in the film. Again, this is close to reality in this nightmare film. Yeah, Heather Langenkamp explains that she began obsessed phone calls, that she had a dream that bothered her. And then, of course, Chase says, no, they're just dreams. It's no big deal. It's nothing. And Chase goes to, and we find out that Chase has to go to another job at Palm Springs for a special effects job. And, Heather Langenkamp, got on this black outfit, hair all curly. Again, looking good. Damn. So he leaves, and then it's pretty established that this Dylan kid is creepy as fuck. We don't get we never really see Dylan as a normal kid. Him acting normal. It starts off him being weird. Heather Langenkamp doesn't like Dylan watching her movies, old movies. So he's like in a trance-like state, and he's just staring at the original Nightmare on Elm Street film. And she's like, Dylan, why are you watching this? And then she turns off the TV, and Dylan does the most obnoxious scream you could ever hear somebody do. And he wouldn't shut off I counted at least about a good 12 seconds. I'm like, holy shit. And then the phone rings. And she picks up the phone, she goes, hello. And all of a sudden you hear knives, scraping, and I couldn't tell if this was Robert Englund, but I want to believe that it was. No, he goes, 1, 2, and then Heather Langenkamp, she immediately hangs up the phone. Then the phone rings again, and then she picks it up and goes, hello. They hear Robert Englund go, Freddy's coming for you! I don't know why, but that kind of made me laugh when he did that. And then Heather Langenkamp hangs up the phone, runs out the house, tries to go get Chase, but Chase has already left at this point. So I'm like, okay, this is a pretty interesting start. So then, long story short, Heather Langenkamp's Dylan's babysitter, Julie, comes in. But after we get, it seems like another earthquake situation. Then it stops. Then she was telling her babysitter, did you feel that earthquake? And she said, no, there was no earthquake. There was a big truck that drove past. And the phone call rings, and then she said, leave us alone, you son of a bitch. And then it says, this is LA Limousine, ma'am. I'm here to pick you up for your appearance. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. I'll be right out. Then she tells Julie about everything that's been going on, about the dream, about the obsessed fan whatsoever. And she hasn't been sleeping much. Then the phone rings again. She's nervous to pick it up. Julie's telling her don't pick it up. But she picks it up, and Majara's time, tell her, hey, we're going to be late. So Heather Langenkamp says goodbye to Dylan, who wants her to stay. But she says, no, I'm gonna be gone for a few hours. I'll be right back. And then he just looks at her and goes, bye. I'm like, okay, something's off about this kid. Something's immediately off. And then Heather Langenkamp goes to do her daily appearances. So Arnold, definitely pretty intense way to start the movie. I like the mechanical glove going ape shit, and we get to introduce you to Heather Langenkamp as Heather Langenkamp, herself, in a kayfabe sense, I guess. Non-kayfabe sense, I could say. So, yeah, pretty interesting start to the film. A lot different than the other Nightmare films. Your thoughts?
I mean, so far, I like the whole sequence with the whole movie set in the beginning, and then when they got up, I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Immediately, I didn't like the kid in the beginning. I don't know. He reminded me of the kid from the Santa Claus, like the Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen. I thought that was a kid, and then I found out it wasn't, but it still looks like him, so I couldn't take him seriously. So with that, and then the ringing of the phone calls like 5 times, I got sick of the phone calls. Like like the first like minute in, I was sick of it because that shit was like so loud and shit. That, and then the main actress, she didn't do that good of a job. But yeah, like James said, like a movie like This Is the End did a really good job, like with like real lives and stuff. And I don't think this did, like in terms of like making a real movie, but it's not. I mean, making like real life about a fake movie, but this is the movie, like that kind of thing, like a real life kind of movie. Like those can work, but I don't think for a horror movie they really make too much sense. But it's definitely ahead of its time in terms of idea, but just not executed properly. But yeah, I thought that it was the direction it was going in wasn't that great, but it didn't bother me too much.
Yeah, it was just something different, something new. Um, I'm interested to see where this is going. So Heather Langenkamp, she's on her way to her parents, and then the driver's like, "Hey, you're that girl from those nightmare movies," all that stuff, and she's like, "No, that's one thing I love about my job. We get to meet all the stars," and she's kind of humble. She's like, "No, I'm hardly a star, whatsoever." Okay, you can tell Heather Langenkamp is not full of herself, which is nice to see because a lot of these Hollywood actors are totally full of themselves. It's nice to see Heather Langenkamp being humble. And he says, no, he wished they didn't kill off Freddy and yada yada yada. And then Heather Langenkamp was damn near like pulled out of her limousine to go to her parents, and we go to a TV appearance. It talk about what she's currently doing now, and does she ever watch or let her son watch her movies, which she doesn't. So she does a lot of TV. Heather Langenkamp, you can tell Heather Langenkamp is a humble person. And then he surprises her saying that Robert Englund is in the building, and he says, "Come on out, Robert." And then he comes out in the Freddy gear, and this is basically Freddy's dead Freddy that's coming out. He goes to Heather and says, "Hey, let's meet up for lunch and whatsoever." And basically waving to the crowd, high-fiving the crowd whatsoever. You see like little kids cheering for him, which is it's very ironic because Freddy was pretty over with the kids. There was Freddy dolls and Freddy video games, which is very fucking ironic if you truly think about it. I'm like, Freddy was a child killer / molester, but he's over with the I don't know. But I liked how this was shot too. I liked, you see Freddy wave at the crowd, and I liked how the lights were on Robert Englund and the way how Heather Langenkamp was looking at him and stuff. Kind of give you the sense of, okay, there's something up with Heather Langenkamp. But it was good to see Robert Englund in the Freddy makeup again. Whether it's comical or whether it's super serious, like I always said throughout this series, Robert Englund is Freddy. He'll always be Freddy. And then we see Robert Englund signing autographs, talking with Heather. Heather Langenkamp said, "You should have told me he was going to be there." And Robert Englund says, "No, like I want to see the look on your face." And a lot of people are saying we should get back together. Like what, for a romantic comedy? Oh, well, I mean, people like to see a decapitated head every now and then. Like, I don't know why. It was just really cool to see Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund as himself, interacting in the movie. It was pretty cool to see, because you rarely see Robert Englund as himself. I mean, we see him in quick glimpses in the other Nightmare films, like part 2 when he's the bus driver, part 4 when he's the nurse, part 5 when he's one of the 100 maniacs, then Freddy's dead. So it was cool to see him as himself. And then Heather Langenkamp gets a phone call saying that she has a movie offer. So she goes up and meets up with executive producer Robert Shea, who he's been with the Nightmare film since day one as well. And basically invites her to play Nancy again for the next Nightmare film. And then it's like, wait, I thought you guys killed Freddy off. And then he admits, that the fans, they're craving for more, and I guess evil never dies, right? So Nancy is not really big on the idea, but she learns that Wes Craven is writing the script and directing it. That kind of sways her in. And then Heather Langenkamp comes back home, and Dylan's freaking out whatsoever. He's having a seizure in his bed and shit. And I'm with Arlo. I kind of already don't like the kid. I mean, not because of the reasons Arlo had his reason, but it was just more like, I don't like the way how he's starting off being, weird. I would have liked to have seen how he was before he got weird, but the closest we got to it was that 2 minutes of him hanging out with his dad, during break. But that's just me though. So Heather Langenkamp consoles Dylan. And then Dylan pulls out his toy, his dinosaur, which has fucking, which is basically slashed apart. Which I'm like, interesting. So I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. So then Heather Langenkamp calls Chase, tells about, how Dylan's been acting weird and whatsoever. He needs to come home. And Chase agrees to do it. Now keep in mind, when Chase is talking to Heather Langenkamp, he's working on the glove. He's still working on it. And he goes, like, you see the glove, and then when he decides to leave, the camera pans back to where the glove was, and it's gone. So I'm like, So Chase is driving back home, and kind of a little bit of an ode to Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5 when Dan gets killed. He falls asleep while driving, which right there I'm kind of like, all right, you deserve to die. Just want that stupid shit alone. And then, of course, and as you expect, the fucking glove that he was working on comes out, stabs him. Pretty good effect. It's like he stabs him and he's like going down on it. And then we see Chase crash to a wall, kind of like Part 5. And Heather Langenkamp wakes up. So we got the first kill of the movie. So, your thoughts on Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund interacting, her doing her role as Nancy, and Dylan freaking out in random moments, it seems like, and Heather Langenkamp's husband's quote-unquote death scene.
Yeah, I like the death scene. I mean, like, he was trying to like stay awake and stuff. I mean, like, that reminded me of I don't know if it's when the guy was driving in this truck and then he crashed and shit. I forgot what movie that was. That was like, I think it was like 2 movies prior.
Part 5.
Yeah. That reminded me of that, but I don't know. This one wasn't as good. I like that they had Robert Englund in the movie as himself, because I mean, if they're gonna do like the original people like as them, then they gotta go all out basically. And when she went on the talk show like Nancy, I'm like, oh, wait, what? This is the girl from the first movie? Because I had no idea. I mean, because she looked a lot better in this one than she did that one. And before she looked younger and stuff, because she obviously she was, but a little like a different person to me.
She became a MILF.
Does she have a baby at this point? I mean, in real life? I mean, I don't know. But that was the case and stuff, so it didn't really matter. But she looked a lot better. I didn't even know that was her until like 20 minutes in. And when they were talking about the whole movies and stuff, and the new movie being written and stuff, that was cool. What was that? I don't like the kid. You already know I don't like the kids. So. All his antics and stuff just make me not like him anymore. So, let's think what else. Yeah, there's nothing other that much else in the movie that really captured my eye to the point where he was talking about. I wasn't really hot on the whole. They're making another movie with it though, but
They're making a movie with a movie.
Yeah, that was weird. I mean, if they're gonna make a movie about like her, just like her, and then Freddy coming to life, without like the whole movie thing and the twist, I would have been fine with it. But I don't know. They did like try to do a movie within a movie while they were shooting a movie. It was weird.
Excuse me. Oh yeah. Like I said though, I mean, could be worse. So the authorities notifies her that her husband died. And she goes to identify the body, of course. And of course, she sees the marks, which kind of makes her go like, Whoa. Okay, then we get to it. Then we get to the funeral scene. You know, and again, it was nice to see, you know, Wes Craven there, Robert Shaw there, the actor that played Rod in the first film. You see him in there. So I thought that was pretty cool that they make an appearance. I kind of did a little bit more with that, but it's all right. And it's funny. I think Wes Craven said that he was going to call Johnny Depp to make an appearance in this movie, but he was nervous because this is around the time when Johnny Depp, you know, Edward Scissorhands was coming out and everything. He was becoming a big star, so he was nervous to do it. And then I think Wes Craven said, like, a few years later, they had lunch, and then Johnny Depp simply said, you know, you should have told me. You should have asked me. So, and I thought that was cool. Like, I thought that was cool. Yeah, you should have asked me.
I mean, he did a part on that part the last part.
Yeah, he
did. Cameo on that.
Yeah, he did Freddy's Dead, so he would have been willing to.
I would imagine.
Yeah. And I think they also said, because they made a Never Sleep Again documentary, and Johnny Depp wanted to do an interview, talk about his experiences in the movie, but he couldn't do it because he had to do Pirates of the Caribbean during that time, so he didn't have time to. So yeah, so Johnny Depp, no, I respect Johnny Depp. He's a cool dude, man. Because you know how with certain actors, you know, they be like, you know, especially from their first movies, especially if it's a horror film, they be like, fuck that movie. I don't want nothing to do with that movie.
Yeah.
It's nice knowing that Johnny Depp remembers where he comes from, and
Johnny Depp's like the type of person you would go out and like chill with or have a beer or something like that with.
Yeah, Johnny Depp is a cool dude. And I heard that story.
He'll be like the best wingman too, for reals.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice to know that Johnny Depp was not a dick, you know, with these movies. You know, he appreciates where he comes from. So yeah, we get to the funeral scene, and all of a sudden we get another earthquake. I'm like, what the fuck is up with these earthquakes? And I think Heather Langenkamp said, you know, that there's been 5 earthquakes in 3 weeks. At that point, I'm like, okay, maybe you should move. Like, I'm sorry, if I'm moving someplace and there's been 5 earthquakes in the span of 3 weeks, I'm moving out that sumbitch. But yeah, so we get another fucking earthquake, which I was starting to get annoyed with. Or I was getting annoyed with the phone calls. It was the earthquakes with me.
So, I mean, I was going to mention that later, but yeah, I was getting annoyed with them too. Like, earthquake. Like, how many fucking earthquakes are there? Jesus Christ. I know California, but they're not one happening every day.
Every fucking day. The earthquake causes the casket to fall down. Heather Langenkamp runs towards it. She trips on the teddy, on the bear, which I didn't know you could really trip on the. Well, she's wearing heels, so I guess it makes sense. And she hits her head, got a little cut on her head. She looks up and knows that Dylan's missing. When I saw Dylan missing, I was like, oh, where the fuck is this kid? And then she looks down and you see Freddy. You see a quick glimpse of Freddy, but he's like pulling Dylan down. You know, and then Heather Langenkamp, you know, reaches down, grabs Dylan, you know, pulls him out, and you see the Freddy glove like going back down. Then all of a sudden, Chase comes back alive. He goes, come with me, Heather, come with me, whatsoever. And then Heather Langenkamp's freaking out, and then we see John Saxon, who played the father, you know, like calming her down and stuff. Like, it's okay. So just calm down, relax. So yeah, we get to see a little bit of Freddy, fucking with people's minds. 'Cause that's how he does, like fuck with people's minds. Then we go to the next night. Heather Langenkamp. She's crying, which you understand. She lost her quote unquote boyfriend in reality, I guess. Not boyfriend, husband. And then, of course, she sees Dylan watching a nightmare film. And I'm kind of like, there's always something with this fucking kid in every scene. Okay, so of course, Dylan's like in a trance-like state, and then Heather Langenkamp is trying to talk to him, nothing, and she's watching the Nightmare on Elm Street film. I still don't understand how you did not know, Arlo, that was Nancy. Because she's looking at herself on TV. You can clearly tell that's her. So she's following Dylan whatsoever, and
I knew it was her. Like when she got to like the what's it called, the scene where like Freddy came out and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Not up to like 40 minutes. It was like 20 minutes in.
Right. So then Dylan starts getting paranoid about going to sleep and and fearing Freddy Krueger, even though Heather had never the fact that he knows about Freddy Krueger, even though that Heather has never shown him the movies and all that shit, so he fears that Freddy Krueger's gonna get him. So before I knew about the demon part, I'm like, okay, so Freddy is fucking with people in the real world. Like, it's no longer dream world anymore. Like, it's still dream world, but he's fucking with the actual actors. Okay, I'm down with this. I think that's a pretty cool. No, this is before I knew about the demon part. I just thought it was just simply Freddy being a real life entity. So I'm like, okay, cool, I can deal with this. So next scene, we see Heather Langenkamp talking with John Saxon, which you can tell John Saxon is the sympathetic friend of the film. Saying that it's just calm down. Dylan's going through a traumatic experience. He just lost his father. It's hard for a kid to process that. The Heather Langenkamp fears that because she had a family member that was in the military, which again, that's another real life situation, because I think Heather Langenkamp did say she actually did have a family member in a mental institution at one point. So I thought that was interesting. Again, kind of brings some real life elements to the film, which I like. And she fears she's gonna pass that on to Dylan. And Dylan was at the park playing and shit. So I'm like, finally, the kid doing normal kid shit. But that changed real quick. Dylan, for some reason, is on some looks like some playground Space Needle thing. And the fucking kid literally gets to the top. Like he's at the top of the fucking Space Needle, trying to touch the sky and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is up with this kid? And Heather Langenkamp, she sees this, runs towards it, and then the kid stumbles and falls, and Heather Langenkamp, catches him in time. And she goes, and then back at home, Heather Langenkamp, goes through her mail, and then she sees that the person who she believes is the one that's been, giving her obscene phone calls sending her letters and stuff. And then she calls Robert Englund. And I almost kind of forgot that when Heather Langenkamp, got out from her frig at the funeral, Robert Englund said, if there's anything you need, Heather, if there's anything you need, I'm right here or whatsoever. Kind of said it in a pseudo Freddy voice a little bit, but like he kind of said it in his Freddy voice, but also like, oh, okay. So she calls Robert Englund, tells her about the situation and saying that she's been dreaming about Freddy. And then, of course, he kind of laughs about it, like, wait, so you've been having nightmares about Freddy? So you've been having nightmares about me, right? And then she goes, no, just a lot more scarier. And then, like, it dawns on Robert Englund. And it looks like he has, like, a little bit of a shocked look on his face. And he's like, what you mean more darker, more evil? And Langenkamp says, how did you know that? Lucky guess. Well, that's some guess whatsoever. And then she asks Robert Englund if he read the script, and then Robert Englund says no, he hasn't. He tried to talk to Wes at the funeral, said he's not, said he's still working on it. And he asked how close are you to being done, and he said as close as Heather's son, trying to reach God, because I think that's what Dylan said, that he tried to have God take him and whatsoever. And then it kind of hits Heather Langenkamp like, holy shit, that's what just happened with Dylan. So we kind of basically learn that Robert Englund been having the same nightmares that Heather Langenkamp has been getting. And you can see he has been, because it looks like he's painting something. And then Heather Langenkamp asks Robert, okay, Robert, can I talk to you, can I come visit you whatsoever? And he go like, I can't right now. I'm finishing something. Maybe tomorrow, I guess. And he's like looking at something, like he's kind of freaked out about it. And then we see that he's drawing Freddy, but like a new look of Freddy, which is interesting. So I'm thinking, okay, Robert Englund's having nightmares about Freddy. Heather Langenkamp's having nightmares about Freddy. This is some freaky shit right here. So, Arlo, again, very interesting idea that Wes Craven's going for in this film. Your thoughts?
What was the last scene you talked about? Sorry.
Her talking to Heather Langenkamp talking to Robert Englund on the phone while he's painting Freddy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like I was stopped talking when they like told the news. Yeah, no, the news about his death and stuff, and the whole body shit, and she like ran out after she saw the scars and marks and stuff. Like, yeah, it's not good. It's not good. And then the funeral, there was another earthquake. I don't know what the fuck happens. So, like, earthquake happens over there, like wind blows over here, I guess. I don't know what the fuck. What's it called though? I didn't understand one thing with the funeral thing. Like, she apparently like hit her head, but like the casket fell before she hit her head, and then when she woke up, the casket was right back in place.
Yeah, it picks. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if they like whatever they did. And then him watching the first Friday Nightmare on Elm Street, that was creepy. I didn't really like what the fuck's going on. And then they like zoomed into the kid and stuff. I'm like, alright, he's harmless. He ain't gonna do shit. Like we'll get to that part when he goes ape shit. Yeah, and then Like they're just like it's like laying down, and I was like zoned out at this point because there was nothing happening. And then the kid tried to commit suicide. Tried to jump from like the top of some I don't know what the fuck it was. He jumped and like let me end my life or some shit. I don't know. She caught him, and then Al Michaels' brother was there too. And yeah, and then they were talking, and he was painting and shit, like Bob Ross and stuff. And yeah, it was going pretty well. We'll get to the scenes I like, but nothing really of significance was happening besides that it was creeping more and more closer to the fact that we realized that the kid is like getting like possessed by Jason. I mean Freddy at moments.
Huh. Because Freddy trying to use possession to get into the real world. Sounds like part 2 to me, but okay. Yeah, but people hated part 2. I'll always fucking defend that movie. I don't care. So Heather Langenkamp is falling asleep, of course, and then we see like the Freddy glove appear out from the bed, and this is a different Freddy glove. Like it's not like a glove. It's like the nails are like coming out of his fingers. I kind of like the variation of the new glove here. Well, how do you like the new variation of the Freddy knives, Arlo?
I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of them because they didn't look as lethal as they did to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's nice, you know. Again, I keep saying this, it's something different.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing I'll give Wes Craven props for. He's trying to make this, you know, as different as he possibly can.
I'll give him that.
So while the Freddy gloves are like going slowly into Heather Langenkamp's face, and then knives drop, and you could tell Heather Langenkamp, you know, she was trying to she was trying to find something, you know, and she tried to reach for it, but it disappeared, and she's like, fuck, you know. And then, is this the scene with Arlo's favorite scene? Oh, yeah. So, Dylan, now keep in mind, I want to remind everybody, okay? Dylan was the killer in Pet Sematary, Miko Hughes. So I'm used to seeing this kid trying to kill somebody. Arlo clearly is not. So we're gonna get two different perspectives on this one. So Heather Langenkamp goes downstairs, find Dylan and downstairs again. I'm like, fuck, this kid, you know, sleepwalking like a motherfucker. And then he sees Heather Langenkamp, and then he sings the Freddy song, you know, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. So I'm like, where is this going? He's like walking closer and closer to Heather Langenkamp with his hand behind his back. I knew what was gonna happen. Once I knew what was about. I'm like, no, they're really not about to do this, are they? So he keeps getting closer and closer. And then once he gets to 9, 10, because apparently he taped knives to his hands, took them out, and then goes, never sleep again, and takes a swipe at Heather Langenkamp. and he's lunging towards her, trying to stab her. And gets same face that he made in Pet Sematary. You know, same like this is kind of like Pet Sematary all over again. But it's still kind of ridiculous. I'm like, but at the same time, not, because I understand what's going on here. Freddy is possessing this kid, so it kind of makes sense. So then, of course, we later find out that Heather Langenkamp's in another dream. She wakes up. She's having a dream of a dream. Then she goes back downstairs, and guess where Dylan is? Of course, downstairs. And of course, he's singing the Freddy music again. You know, never sleep again. You know, walking around with his teddy. And then Heather Langenkamp was like, you know, Dylan, what's the matter or whatsoever. And then you see like all the letters spelled out. And it says, answer the phone. So Aunt Nancy goes to answer the phone, and we get a nice little homage to the first Nightmare on Elm Street here. She answers the phone. Now you hear Freddy on the phone go, I touched him, and the tongue comes out to lick Heather Langenkamp's face, just like in the first film. So I thought that was a nice homage to the first film. Then of course Heather Langenkamp's freaking out. All of a sudden Dylan has like a seizure. Like, so I'm like, what? Like, there is like, what the fuck? Like, every 2 seconds there's something wrong with this kid. So he's like on the floor, you know, convulsing. Now, I'll give Miko Hughes this. I mean, for a kid, you know, who looked like 5, 6, 7 years old, I mean, he's trying. I'll give the kid that. I just don't like how the character of Dylan is being booked, personally. So then, of course, you know, she takes Dylan to a doctor whatsoever. And where the head nurse kind of suspects, she suspects that, you know, Nancy is abusing the kid and whatsoever, and suggests that Dylan stay at the hospital for observation. You know, and then she tells Dylan, you know, that she wants him to come home, but, you know, you have to be better first and whatsoever, and like, just forget, okay, right across that highway is our home, okay, and I want you home, all right. And like I said, I'll give Heather Langenkamp this. I'll just say this right now. I think this was her best performance in the franchise, personally. I liked her in part 1. I thought she was great in part 1. Part 3, I thought she was okay. I just thought she took a back seat, nowhere near as strong as she was. But I think Heather Langenkamp is doing a fantastic job in this film, personally. I think this is her best performance. So I'm really enjoying her acting in this movie. So she leaves the hospital. She's trying to contact Robert Englund. And Robert Englund, who we find out they learn that he's disappeared. Like, he's nowhere to be found. So I'm like, that's interesting. And she goes to visit Wes Craven. You know, Wes Craven tells her, you know, what the hell is going on here. But then Wes Craven tells her that that Freddy is this demon that takes the persona of any popular thing that represents evil and whatsoever. And now that the movie's finished, it's basically come back to life, and only one person can defeat it, and it's Heather Langenkamp. But it cannot just be Heather Langenkamp. They have to do the movie, and she has to be Nancy one last time. And Wes Craven, people make fun of Wes Craven. I thought for what he had to do, I thought he did a pretty good job, describing the situation. Because we found out that he's been having the same nightmares everybody else has been having. The same things. So I'm thinking this is fucking weird, man. Like, that would kind of creep me out that everybody I know has been having the same fucking nightmares. See, in the movie world, makes sense. Like when Tina and Nancy were having the same dream. But this is real fucking life, quote unquote. Quotation marks. And so and I also like the situation where I liked how Wes Craven says you have to make a choice, and then Nancy and then Langenkamp goes, "What choice?" You have to play Nancy one last time. And I like how the camera shoots to Wes Craven's computer, and all the dialogue that they just did is in the computer, and at the bottom it says "fade to black," and it fades to black. I thought that was really clever. I'm like, that was pretty clever what he just did right there. So yeah, Arlo, we're getting some pretty clever stuff right now, and this is actually pretty damn good if you ask me. Arlo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was pretty good so far. I really like the part where she wakes out of her dream and her son, a supposed dream, and then wakes up into another dream where he attacks her, and then that face he makes when he's like attacking her, that shit was so fucking funny. That's like the whole like Chucky situation with me. Like, it's a fucking doll trying to stab you. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's an 8-year-old trying to stab you. And the part is like he was trying to stab her, and then she was like struggling. Like, who the fuck? What kind of 8-year-old is stronger than their mom? What the fuck is wrong with this? It's not like he was obese or anything like that. Like a lot of 8-year-olds nowadays, it was like a normal 8-year-olds. What I say? Yeah, but it was. Yeah, but like he tries, like if you go look, everybody like go back and look at that if you can. Like him trying to stab James. You should try to make that like a thumbnail for this video. Him trying to stab Nancy. That'd be pretty good.
I'll think about it.
Yeah, that was really funny. But then him waking up and stuff, and like you said, like they went on like a thing. Went back to the first part where like the phone licked Nancy and licked the actress again, Heather. Is her name right? So I'm like, all right, nice allude, and then her son gets seizures. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Like the seizure just came like out of nowhere.
I'd never seen a fucking thing like with this, like a kid having a seizure. I mean, him being like tormented or anything like that, but he having a fucking seizure because like he was foaming at the mouth, and only people like with seizures. I'm assuming, because I don't know too much about them, but I'm assuming that's a sign of one coming on and stuff, or rabies, one of the two. And then the hospital, the lady, yeah, they were not supposed to like her, and she was doing her role correctly and stuff. And then going to like Wes Craven's house and stuff and talking and trying to get some answers and stuff. I didn't really enjoy that scene too much because he was a director, but he wasn't. There's a reason why he's a director, not an actor. He's not very good. But yeah, but up to I did like the part where like the shit was on the screen though. You were saying that was pretty cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean. Well, yeah, well, thank God Wes Craven was only in one scene then.
Yeah.
So Heather Langenkamp, is drinking coffee, learning about, sleep deprivation. Again, kind of putting me in the mind of Nightmare on 1. With the coffee by her bed, trying to stay awake, and then she learns that 2 other the same people that got killed in the first couple minutes of the movie, the special effect people, got killed that day, with the hand. So Nancy's like freaking out, and then we get another earthquake situation. And I'm like, just stop with the fucking... Okay, I've learned that when there's earthquakes, either Freddy is arriving or... That's how I'm thinking. I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together. Every time there's an earthquake, Freddy's involved. So then the electricity goes out. Heather Langenkamp is searching, and she goes into her closet. And then this kind of made me jump a little bit because I didn't really expect this. She's looking in her closet, and we see in the first person view, and all of a sudden, Freddy just pops out and goes, "Miss me?" And and then Heather Langenkamp, of course, freaks out. Freddy lunges at her, and again, kind of like another little homage to the first film. Heather Langenkamp and Freddy fighting in Heather's bedroom. So, she's trying to fight. What's that?
I was just gonna say about the earthquake comment. Yeah, Freddy's arriving. There's a guarantee Freddy's arriving or he's gonna be around it, or I mean that, and you're gonna be pissed or annoyed.
Right. Yeah.
Those 2 things.
So Freddy is trying to attack Nancy, and then they're struggling on the bed whatsoever. I wouldn't mind struggling in bed with Heather Langenkamp, by the way. And Freddy's like, "Look, Robert ain't gonna ask Freddy." Looks at her, goes, "Nancy," and stuff, and she pushes Freddy off, but not without Freddy, slicing her arm. So then she goes to the hospital where we meet that bitch nurse. It's kind of funny. Wes Craven said the nurse was supposed to represent MPAA, basically. And when I read that, I was like, I know where he's going with that, because the nurses does not like that she does horror movies, like it's affecting children and whatsoever. I don't like what you represent. And then I'm like, yep, that's MPAA. Those fucking assholes, MPAA. Which, if you guys don't know how I feel about MPAA, watch part 7 and 8 of Friday the 13th movie reviews. You'll know my feelings on MPAA in those reviews.
Really? Was that the one, or I thought it was earlier?
Oh no, because in the early Friday the 13th films, they weren't afraid to show you everything. But part 7 and part 8, when they were really hands-on with the projects, I was like, fuck these guys.
Yeah, I mean, only that, I'm not sure if you might be correct, but I'm pretty sure you put fuck MPAA in the title as well or some shit. So.
I would have, but I don't think I did. I say it a lot in reviews, but I had to put it in the title.
I thought you did.
Well, I could have done a rant video on just MPAA alone, but I just left that alone. So yeah, when Wes Craven said she was supposed to represent MPAA, I was like, Wes Craven, you clever bastard. So of course she's like, shunning him about, Nancy's career, and saying and suggesting that, Freddy, Dylan should go into foster care and shit. And I would have liked if Heather Langenkamp would have punched the shit out of her or slapped her or something. I'm like, you bitch, how dare you to judge Heather Langenkamp on her movie choices? Like, how dare you? But yeah, like I was right. She clearly, I want to get the actress name. Fran Bennett as Dr. Christina Hefner. Yeah, she did a good job of just playing just a bitch, pretty much. And then she goes to visit Dylan, who's like in one of those like airbags. And then of course Dylan wakes up, and then and then all of a sudden he tries to talk like Freddy, which is kind of comical because it's a little fucking kid, but he's like, I'm almost through, Nancy. And then she throws up on Heather Langenkamp, and then Freddy comes out. It looks like it's about to attack Dylan, but then she fucking like tries to charge at Freddy, but there's nothing there. Then of course the hospital staff and think she's fucking crazy. She goes like, "Where's Dylan? I want to see Dylan." So she runs out, goes to find Dylan. We get another homage to the first film. She's like, "You need a visitor's pass, ma'am." And then Heather goes, "Screw your pass." And then I smile at that because she has that in the first film. When she runs to the hall monitor, like, "Hey, where's your pass? Screw your pass." I smile at that. So she finds Dylan, and basically has Julie, Dylan's babysitter, stay with Dylan, make sure that she's okay, and don't make them put him to sleep and whatsoever. But then of course doctors don't listen to her. They go to try to make her. They try to make Dylan go to sleep, and I like what Julie does here. Like she's loyal, She says, "No, Dylan's mother told me he cannot put him asleep." And then they're not paying attention. Then she kind of like grabbed the nurse's arm and says, like, "You're not doing that to him." And then another nurse just pretty violently, injects the sleep aid into Dylan, and Dylan goes, "Ow!" I'm like, "Fuck you." And then the nurse tells Julie, "Get your hands off me." And then Julie goes, "You bitch!" And then knocks her out. I'm like, okay, I like this Julie chick. I like her. And then, of course, she grabs a syringe, and then, she kind of threatens the other nurse, like, "Oh, well, I know what's in that syringe that you have in your hand, but what do you think is this?" "Well, I'll find out once I stick you with it and whatsoever." And she screams out like, "Ah!" And then she runs away. I'm like, okay, Julie's having some pretty badass moments. Okay. Again, I like the Julie character. She's loyal to Heather Langenkamp, and she clearly cares about this Dylan kid. Nice.
She also pointed out like the gray hair and the hair.
Yes, that Heather Langenkamp was having gray hair, just like in the first film. Yeah. So, I again, like, sometimes when they do anniversary movies, sometimes they can be annoying with the homages. That was kind of the problems I have with Halloween H2O. They kind of had a little too much of it. But I think it was done better in this film because it works well with the story. It works well with the story. How in H2O you had fucking Janet Leigh with a Psycho reference, a movie that came out in the 60s in a 1998 film. I kind of think they did this better in New Nightmare, personally.
Just that part, or like the overall movie?
The overall movie.
You thought this was better than Halloween H2O?
No, not. I didn't think. I said when it comes to like the like the tributes and the homages.
Not like the overall movie though, right?
Not the overall. Well, I never really thought about which movie's better. I have to think about that later, but
Because both of them in like not reality, but in if you look at it, like both of them, one's 10 years, one's 20 years, but both of them are like return movies, like the original people.
Anniversary films.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, right when Julie has a pretty badass moment. She locks the door. She's trying to keep Dylan up. Like, come on, Dylan, you need to stay awake. You need to stay awake. Then the nurse, asks Nancy, not Heather Langenkamp, if she's like on drugs. Like on drugs or anything. And I love Heather Langenkamp's reaction. She just looks at her and goes, "What?" Like I like the reaction to that. I was just like, Heather, just punch the shit out of her, please. Just do that. I like Heather Langenkamp's acting, especially in the third act of the film. I think she really brings her A game personally, because you can tell that she really cares about Dylan and she's willing to do anything for Dylan. And I don't like the Dylan character personally, but just because Heather Langenkamp cares about him and I care about Heather Langenkamp, I can kind of care about the kid a little bit. And Heather Langenkamp's kind of sexy when she's angry too, by the way. She has a pretty hot angry face. So Dylan like nods off. Then she wakes up, and then we see Freddy up here right behind Julie. And then Dylan's trying to warn Julie, like, Julie, behind you, but of course Julie doesn't see anything. And then Freddy stabs Julie. And then Heather Langenkamp goes, like, "Give me back my son now." And then we get another homage to the first film. Well, the two nurses are freaking out that they can't get in. No, they get in, and then Freddy's throwing Julie around. And then Freddy looks at Dylan and goes, "Hey, Dylan, ever played Skin the Cat?" And just like what he did with Tina in the first film, he's like dragging her up on the walls and on the ceiling and everything. Of course, it was done better in the first film, but again, I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Yeah, you could definitely tell this is an anniversary film. And then, of course, Freddy snaps Julie's neck, and then Julie just falls. Heather Langenkamp runs into the room, and then the nurse are trying to restrain her, like, you can't go in there. And then Heather Langenkamp just like elbows the nurse in the stomach. I'm like, hell yeah! I wish I could have been the head nurse, but okay, you got the right idea, Heather. Notices that Dylan's gone, and then she tells the nurse that, listen, you dumbass, that he doesn't have to be like he sleepwalk. He sleepwalk. He's capable of leaving this hospital. And then she runs out to go look for Dylan. As you can see, Earl, this is not a body count film. Yeah. This is more focused on the characters and character driven. We don't really see Freddy a whole lot in this film, but Robert Englund's still doing a pretty good job at making Freddy's presence well known, and yeah, I mean, I have to say, Heather Langenkamp is basically carrying this film personally. She's carrying it right now. And I think she's doing a fantastic job personally. Arlo, your thoughts?
I don't know about carrying it. I don't really like her acting either. But yeah, there's like a bunch of
Who's doing better than her right now in this film?
nobody, to be frank.
Exactly.
No. That guy, that was her dad in the first movie. I don't know his name.
But he's barely in the movie though.
But whenever he is, he's done the best part. But besides that, and like we get to like Freddy like attacking him, like the girl and stuff. I like that part. And then earthquake. It's gone. Fucking earthquake. This is a bunch of them. But what's it called? I didn't like that. Yeah, but like the new face of Freddy, I don't like that new one. I mean, you had the same one, basically. I mean, there've been little changes to it for the entire throughout, but like this was a huge change, and I didn't really like it. The trench coat I liked. The green hat I didn't even realize until James told me that. But the whole like face of him I didn't really enjoy. The scar, and then the scar like becoming red when Freddy's attacking. I thought that was a cool part. Did with it. The kid got sedated and basically fell asleep on the dot. Didn't give him no fucking time. Yeah. What's it called though? Like I noticed this. Like she looked like relatively young. Heather Langenkamp in the beginning, and then she got progressively older, starting and then the end of the movie. What's it called though? The nurses and stuff, they were like a bunch of assholes and stuff. Like you said, that I didn't know it was that thing. I'm not the N something AP or something. Whatever it was.
MPAA.
MPAA. That was. I didn't know that was the case. That makes more sense with it. Saying like, oh, your things hurt children and stuff. Like, how the fuck do you get seizures from your mom being an actress? I don't know. I understand that. That makes no sense at all. Like, what would make sense? Like, she told the person like his dad died. All right, that made sense. But then you're like, oh, it's not. It's your damn horror movie. So, whatever.
Well, it's that classic, you know. It's that classic that the media represents, you know, how children act. I mean, just like with the whole, like when it comes to like school shootings,
I don't
they want
to
to blame. But you know what I'm trying to say, though, right?
Yeah, but I really don't want to get into that in this video. But like Julie, I liked her part in it. Shooting up from bad. She knocked out one of the nurses, and then she like ran out the other one and shit. And then she didn't have a chance against Freddy, but she didn't see him or anything like that. Basically, the kid was fucking screwed over, I guess. Not basically, he did screw her over. It's like, oh, kill her, don't kill me, whatever. But when she was getting killed and stuff, I liked how her body was getting dragged up and down, up the wall and across the roof and stuff. I'm not sure if that's been done was done in a previous film, like a horror movie. I'm sure it was, but I don't really remember when. I don't know if you do, James. Like somebody's been like dragging up the wall. Huh?
The very first film.
Like dragging it like that?
Well, like it was done better. It was done better in the first film, but that was supposed to be like an homage to Tina's death.
The first girl, right?
Yes, the first girl.
I don't remember her being dragged up, but she probably was. I'm not exactly sure.
She was.
Okay, right, I believe you. I don't remember that though. But then, I like the fact when she was like stuck to the ceiling and stuff. Like the little kid like reached out to help her, but he has like a 2-inch arm, and obviously that was funny to me. And then he escapes and like, oh, he's gonna oh yeah, and then how she died was like her neck was like slightly like bent out, and then he like just moved her head like against the wall, and she died. And like that does not crack somebody's neck and kill them. That just moves her head a little bit. Like
Yeah.
it was like I would say like if you want to start out like 0 degrees, this was at like 10 degrees. Her head was at, and not that type of force would break somebody's neck. But yeah, that wasn't that enjoyable. And then the kid. It's like, yeah, he can get out of here. He sleepwalks. I'm like, what the fuck? What kind of kid is this that sleepwalks? Like, not just like how the fuck did he get out the hospital? How does it, I don't understand that. How does he get like across something James, you're right, you can talk about, but I don't understand that. But yeah, he's about to cross a fucking highway. Yeah.
Yeah, the highway scene, which it seems like some shit straight out of a Ghostbumps book. But I did kind of like the sequence though. No, she's driving, trying to call John Saxon, saying that Dylan has escaped, and I know this may sound crazy, but Freddy is coming after him, and John Saxon's like, yeah, that does sound crazy. And then she finds Dylan. And she gets out of her car to chase Dylan. And Dylan, he remembers to get home, just go, literally, it's across the highway. I mean, we should have known this shit was going to happen later in the film because Nancy foreshadows this twice in the film. She tells him 2 times about the highway. So I knew this shit was going to happen. And then, of course, she is like just nonchalantly just walking across traffic, no car hitting him. I was like, damn, it's a pretty good timing for a little kid. Because if you're gonna cross like a 6-lane highway, you have some good fucking timing. And then of course she sees Freddy, in the clouds, and taunting him, dangling him, before the traffic and shit with his glove, and Nancy's going, "Take me, you bastard! Leave him alone!" And then he just drops Dylan. Nancy's trying to come across, and like the fucking a semi truck with its I don't know what they call it, like the back end of those semi trucks, but it basically fucks up pretty much. And it goes to hit her. She's running from it. She gets out just in time. And Dylan sees like a bunch of other Freddys like coming towards him. He gets out the highway. And then Nancy gets out of the highway. No, she gets run over. Pretty sick bump. Clearly, Heather Langenkamp didn't take that bump, but it was a pretty damn good bump from the stunt woman. You go check on Heather Langenkamp, and Heather Langenkamp's like, let me go, get off me. Goes to find Dylan. She gets home and she sees meets John Saxon. They say, "Are you like what's wrong? What's wrong? Like where's Dylan?" And he's like, "It's okay, Dylan's right there." So she hugs Dylan, and then John Saxon says, like, "Well, so what's the matter?" And she's like, "I think I know what killed Chase. I think Freddy Krueger killed him." And then John Saxon goes, "Yeah, sure." And he keeps calling her Nancy. And even Heather Langenkamp says that, like, why do you keep calling me why you keep calling me Nancy, John? And then John goes, why do you keep calling me John? And then it's kind of dawning on the Heather Langenkamp. And then we see John Saxon wearing the same exact outfit with the badge and the jacket that he wore in the first film. Like, you need to give yourself some sleep, Nancy. You know, you're gonna scare the little kid to death. Okay, Freddy is dead. You need to understand that. And then he goes, you know, I love you, Nancy. And I'm guessing this is the moment where Heather Langenkamp accepts being Nancy again. She just simply says, I love you too, Daddy. And while this is happening, Freddy's rising out of Dylan's bed, slowly clawing himself out. And then I like the music that plays, you know, when he's like, you know, claws out the bed sheet and he's like walking around, I guess, looking for Dylan. And then we see Heather Langenkamp, you know, wearing the clothes, you know, wearing the same PJs that she wore in the first film. And then we also get that music, that do 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 music, and then she turns around and it's the house from the very first film, you know, Nancy's house with the bars on the windows. So again, I like the fact I really like how they're playing tribute to the first film in some parts. Again, I thought that was really cool. And then so Freddy, you know, is now officially in reality, takes Dylan into his world, and then Heather finds a trail of his sleeping pills, Dylan's sleeping pills. You know, she takes a knife with her, of course. I know Nancy. Nancy always was smart. And I kind of like the thing where where she's under the bed sheet, and then she's like being slid down to a dark underworld. I like that sequence. And then now she's in Freddy's world, the dream world. So she's looking for Dylan and Freddy. And then of course Freddy finds her, and then we get a confrontation. And then Freddy says, I need to find what Freddy says here. Give me a second. Oh, he throws her into like a barrel of eels, and he goes like, pick a pet for the rugrat, bitch. And I'm like, yep, there goes Freddy. You know, he has to call somebody a bitch in these nightmare films. He's been doing that since part 3. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Freddy's look. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the Freddy look here myself. You really see it in this scene. I'm like, yeah, I prefer the original look. So Nancy takes an eel, shoves it in Freddy's eye. Then Nancy has a pretty badass moment where she gets up and goes, "Fuck you!" and then punches the shit out of Freddy. Well, I thought that was like, that was cool. I just love when she says, "Fuck you!" and punches the shit out of him. Love that. So she tells Dylan to run. And then Nancy hits Freddy with like a log of fire. And then Freddy grabs Nancy, about to go kill Nancy, and then Dylan goes, "Take this!" and stabs Freddy in the leg. And she always stabbed him like a couple times too. And then Freddy takes the knife out, And then he goes toward Dylan like, "Come here, my pretty. I got some gingerbread for you." And, I don't know. I thought I laughed at that. I got some gingerbread for you. What the fuck? So she goes, "No!" And then Freddy like just knocks her out. And then he goes to chase Dylan. And then like Dylan, everywhere Dylan turns, Freddy's there. He was like, "Freddy's coming for ya!" And she's screaming, "Mommy! Mommy!" And then you hear Freddy taunting, "Mommy! Mommy! You want your mommy, Dylan?" You know, like, again, Robert, again, he's not the comedic Freddy as, being scary again. And again, like you can always tell Robert Englund has fun playing Freddy. So, your thoughts on the confrontation thus far before I wrap it up?
Yeah, the whole highway thing, that was really comedic to me. I thought that shit was really funny. I don't think anybody expected that a fucking highway thing was gonna happen like that. I know, even though this was later, it reminded me of one second. I'll get back to that, but what's it called though? Yeah, like the whole confrontation though. To be honest, I wasn't that interested in it. I mean, I was looking, I was watching it and shit, but I wasn't like completely into it. I mean, and like the other chase scenes have been, but this wasn't particularly my cup of tea. I don't know. Yeah, I can see why. Like, I liked it at first, but then after, the whole trench coat and stuff got a little old to me. But yeah, that wasn't that big deal. Oh yeah, the highway thing, that reminded me of Bowfinger with like Eddie Murphy and stuff. You know what I'm talking about, James? Yeah.
Oh yeah, like one of the funniest parts of the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, like he fucking runs across. If people don't know, like he runs across like a fucking highway, and like, yeah, these are all stunt drivers and actors and stuff. You'll be fine. And this is what this reminded me of. Even though that was later.
The way Eddie Murphy sold that shit was hilarious. But yeah.
Yeah, that shit was funny. Like, yeah, like I think that was like the last funny movie he was in. But we're not talking about Eddie Murphy. We're talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, the whole like getting back into like her house and stuff, that was cool. The sleeping pills thing though, that was a little stupid. I didn't get that. But I don't know if you talked how far like her going into like the water pit you talk about. Yeah, that was after. Like the water pit thing, I think that was cool. That was a cool setting they had that at. A whole snake and stuff. I thought I liked that. And obviously, later in the movie, it'll be not entirely beneficial, but it'll be important. And then like knocking Nancy out and stuff, and the little boy running and stuff. That was really funny how the little boy like stabbed Freddy in the leg. I thought it was funny.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know, anything that little boy does though, like to be serious, I just view as a joke.
Yeah, so that's I felt the exact same way.
Have you got to like the ending part where he goes into a cubby of fire? I like to call it.
No, I was
Right,
I'm about to get to that right now.
Yeah, but yeah, that part was like that. Right.
yeah. Dylan runs to like a cubby of fire, and Freddy can't reach into there. So Freddy, being in the dream world, he stretches out his arm and grabs Dylan, pulls him in, and he's like, and he says, "Come to Papa. I'm gonna eat you up." And then Freddy is about to eat Dylan. He makes his mouth larger, and then Nancy awakens, grabs a knife, and then we get another homage to the first film. While he's trying to reach Freddy, she's trying to run up the stairs, but then her feet sinks in on every step, just like in the first film. So Freddy's about to eat him, and then Nancy goes, "Let him go!" and then fucking stabs him. And again, am I the one that really hates it when Dylan screams?
Just hit the
Like
kid
he was
in
about to.
general. What?
Oh,
What?
if what it looked like Nancy was stabbed Freddy in the balls.
I don't know
From
exactly.
the angle that I saw, it looked like she hit him right in the balls. Because Freddy, from the angle that I saw, looked like she did.
It might have been the case, but that entire part where he tried to eat his face, that was weird.
Well, it's Freddy in the dream world, bro.
Still weird.
It's not really Freddy, but you know what I mean. Yeah, keep that in mind. This is not really Freddy. This is a demon, take in the form of Freddy.
Yeah, it looked like his balls or something. You're right.
Right. So Nancy's trying to push Freddy, Demon Freddy, I should say, into the ball of fire. But then Freddy stretches out his tongue. Look like he's gonna try to strangle Nancy with it. It looked ridiculous, but again, from Freddy Krueger, what do you expect?
We'll get another ridiculous part in 1 second. What happens to his tongue?
Well, this part kind of made me laugh. So Dylan grabs the tongue, and Freddy notices that Dylan has a knife in his hand. So I like how Freddy's eyes widen up, and you see Freddy going, "No, no, no, no!" He's trying to move his tongue around to make Dylan, Dylan's trying to stab it, and then Freddy's moving his. Yeah, it was pretty funny. He was trying to move his tongue to make Dylan miss. You see Freddy go, "No, no, no, no!" It's like your shit kind of seemed like a cartoon. I don't know. Yeah. I cracked the fuck up when that part came on. Just the look on Freddy's face and Dylan keep missing and Freddy going, "No, no!" I laughed at that. But then eventually Dylan gets Freddy's tongue. And then just like a fucking measuring tape, the tongue goes back into Freddy's mouth. And they close the door. And Freddy's now stuck in the fire. He's stuck in the fire, and then when he's on fire, he turns to his demon form, I should say, balloons up, and pretty much blows up a little. Pretty much blows up. So while in the meantime, Nancy and Dylan, they're running away. They're running away to get into the water. And while Freddy's dream world is falling apart, they get into the water and they're back. And then Nancy and Dylan are back into reality. Now they're back to reality, and they find the finished copy of Wes Craven's script. Wes Craven saying, thank you, Heather, for playing Nancy one last time. Now Freddy's back where he belongs, and best regards, Wes. And then Heather Langenkamp is reading the script of the movie that we just watched, and movie that me and Arlo are reviewing. Then Dylan goes, "Is that a story, Mommy?" And Heather goes, "Yes, this is a story." Then she says, "Will you read it to me?" And then Heather Langenkamp, reads Dylan the story, basically the movie of this movie from the beginning, which I thought was clever. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty clever right there. And then we get the end credits, and that's New Nightmare. So our thoughts on the final scenes?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty funny, the part where like he was dabbing his tongue and trying to bite his head off and stuff. It was really weird. I wouldn't expect anything different from this movie. And then like they get out and like they jump into like a pool. Like I don't know how they think that pool is gonna lead them back to the thing, but it does. And then like it looked like they were like in the Pantheon or something, like in Greece and stuff. It was weird.
You noticed that too?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, this is supposed to be Freddy's dream world.
Fucking Greece.
Okay.
All right. Ancient. I guess.
Looks like a vacation to me, but
Ancient Greece. Yes. I guess. And then they get out and stuff, and then the story. I'm like, all right. It's not that. I wouldn't say noticeable, but it's not that interesting to me. I don't really care for it.
well,
It was pretty. I don't know. It was pretty weak in terms of like a fight sequence, but it wasn't really a fight.
Well, the reason why I enjoyed that fight scene was because, like, again, I view this as Wes Craven, the New Line Cinema's way of making up for Part 3, because they didn't really give Nancy shit to do in Part 3. Same way with John Saxon, they died. They died a pretty bullshit way. So I think this was their way of making up for it, and I enjoyed it. You see Heather Langenkamp kicking Freddy's ass, which I always enjoy. I really enjoyed that. Fuck you, and punches the shit out of him. Yeah, there was some nitpicks to it, but I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So for overall thoughts, I like this movie. I really do. I think it's an ingenious concept. I like the fact that it's not your stereotypical nightmare film. It plays off reality, like you have like Heather Langenkamp playing herself, Robert Englund playing himself. I kind of wish they did a little bit more with Robert Englund as himself a little bit. I kind of would have liked it. Me personally, I would have liked it. Kind of made it seem like, I think it would have been entertaining if instead of Freddy trying to possess Dylan, imagine if the demon Freddy was trying to possess Robert Englund. And Robert Englund slowly turning into Freddy. I think that would have been great, personally. That's what I would have liked. I would like to see more Robert Englund in this film, but what he had to do, he was fine. Again, people make fun of Wes Craven and Robert Shaw for what they had to do. I thought they did a pretty good job. They were just there to basically describe the plot, which is what a director normally does. So I was fine with that. Again, I like John Saxon. It was nice to see some other characters come back. This is Heather Langenkamp's best performance in the Nightmare films, personally. I thought she did a fantastic job in this film, acting-wise. I thought she was great, and she was fucking hot as hell in this movie. Yeah, she was definitely smashable in this film. The kid didn't really give two shits about personally. But the only reason why I did still somewhat care because Heather Langenkamp was willing to go through hell and high water to save her son. And I care about Heather Langenkamp. So that kind of made me care about the kid a little bit. But whether he lived or died, I wouldn't give two shits. Robert Englund as Freddy, even though he's not, he's not in the movie very much. But at this point, Robert Englund is consistent as Freddy. You can never really have a negative thing to say about Robert Englund as Freddy. I enjoyed this film. I really did enjoy it, and I will give this movie fuck it. You may say I'm crazy, but I don't give a fuck. I will give this movie an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for me. And I really like this film. Heather Langenkamp was great. Like the concept. I think this is one of Wes Craven's best films, personally. And people forget in this movie he did this a year before Scream. So, and I'm gonna kind of say one thing. Kevin Williamson. I can tell that in the Scream movies, especially in the first film, he was kind of influenced by this film a little bit. Like he was kind of influenced by New Nightmare. But if we ever get to that point where we review the Scream movies, I'll point that out more. But yeah, I think this is a pretty damn good movie, and I enjoyed it. So 8 out of 10 for me. All your overall thoughts.
Is that why you fell asleep during it?
It wasn't because of the movie.
That's not my stuff.
It wasn't because of the movie.
All right.
Not because of the movie.
I was gonna throw that in there. But yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what I gave the others, but this was not. It didn't blow me out the water. Was it bad? No. The concept seemed a little irrational. Yeah. I mean, there wasn't really much to it, but it could have been better. Maybe it's because I was expecting too much from it. Especially with Wes Craven, how highly regarded his name is in his movies and stuff. I was expecting a very good movie. I didn't really see that. I saw that. I see this as a good movie, not a great movie though. I enjoyed it. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 though. Some of there's a lot of funny parts in this. And the kid, hospital, that girl, Heather, whatever her name is, was hot. But yeah, it's pretty entertaining. So yeah, 6 out of 10. Enjoyable movie.
Yes, indeed. And so for the next movies, I'm kind of conflicted on this one because I don't know which ones to do next. I want to go in order, but at the same time, though, Freddy vs. Jason is not necessarily a Nightmare on Elm Street film. So I'll let you guys know.
We're doing the remake. We're doing the remake and then other ones.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
We're doing the remake. We're gonna finish out the series and then go into the
cross. Okay, frame
crossover.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, so never mind then. We're going to do Nightmare. We're gonna do this unbelievably shitty Nightmare on Elm Street, the remake. I'm telling you guys right now, expect some rants. Because this movie is so incredibly bad, it's not even funny. And I just want to make one quick thing. In this series, I've learned to appreciate Robert Englund more, and his portrayal as Freddy. Because in this remake, the person that plays Freddy ain't got shit compared to Robert Englund. And once we get to it, I'll let you guys know. It's supposed to be different. It's a remake, yeah, but he tries to swagger jack Robert Englund so much. Oh, well, we'll get to it. And then after the remake, we'll do Freddy versus Jason, and kind of putting the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th series full circle, if you will. So yeah, there you have it. There's the Wes Craven's new Nightmare movie review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You can find Arlo at Clean Silverware, and of course my two YouTube channels. And you can find me at JTims 101193 on Twitter, and of course my King JT account, also at my James Timms account, which is where, again, the main channel that I will leave this on my King JT account. I will also put it on my James Tim account as well.
In the playlist, yes.
In the playlist, yes. And again, support the Blitz team. As far as upcoming videos, Adam at AddyCat87 is going to do the 3rd edition of Random Sports Talk on his channel on Saturday night. So I'm looking forward to see you guys there. We always have a blast doing those videos. And of course, Blitz Team live commentary is going to be on my channel this upcoming Monday. And quick shout outs, go Cubs. And yeah, there you have it. So I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. We will see you guys. We'll probably either wait next week, or we may just say fuck it and do the remake tomorrow night. I'm not sure. I gotta sleep on it. And we'll let you guys know as soon as possible. And Arlo, you want any last words?
Watch the Random Sports Talk. I know a lot of these viewers are going to be archived, though, so you won't even know about it. But on AddyCat87's channel, the Random Sports Talk, even if you're watching this a month after it happened, it will be viewed. I mean, it will be worth watching. So
yes, they're always fun. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So yeah, so thank you guys for watching the new Nightmare review. We'll see you guys on the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and yeah, and then we'll finish out the Nightmare on Elm Street series with Freddy versus Jason. So good night, everybody, and see you guys later. And we are out. Peace.